Tell me about Slanted. This is a very controversial trailer. We looked at the trailer
Yeah.
and said it's the Slanted. They're describing it as Mean Girls meets The Substance.
Mm-hmm.
And the trailer is very weird about a young Asian girl in high school who aspires to be the prom queen, but she's Asian in a world dominated by blonde white girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the setup for this movie. It describes itself as a comedy, a little social satire. You saw it. Tell me a little brief about the story, more about the story, and I want to hear your
just
review.
to add on what you've already said.
Please.
She wants to be prom queen, and the one way that she does it, she can do it, is by going through racial reassignment, basically. So she goes under surgery and becomes a white girl, a blonde white girl, and she becomes very popular. But it's not a perfect process, as she finds out throughout the rest of the film. So that's essentially what the movie is. Did not like this movie. There's some serious problems. I say this over and over and over again. A movie, you have to really buy into the plot if you're going to really enjoy it. I just could not buy into this plot. Part of it is, this is 2026. Look, I went to school. When I went to school, especially elementary school, I was the only Asian kid in a white school. Guess what? That was 1976. That was 40 years ago, 45 years ago. And things have changed. And the idea that you are the only Asian wherever you are in this world is just not that true anymore. And the other thing, like I said up front, I have never uttered the words, "I wish I was white," or thought that I would do better in this world if I was white. That thought never crossed my mind. I always just felt like, if I'm going to make it in this world, I've got to do it on my own. I've got to be the best at this and that. And it's like, what's so wrong with that? And I think the key flaw of this movie is it's this idea that only white people can be Americans. And that's just not true. That is 100% not true. I'm an American. I was born in America. My American journey was established by me and my friends, and it had nothing to do with the color of our skin. There's a long time where I was hanging out with only Asians, a long time where I was hanging out with only white people. There's a lot of diversity in my circles as well. And that's the problem, is the basic premise of this movie is that the only way to be a true American is to be white. And I don't even think Americans believe that. That's true. The only people who believe it are progressives who need the victim points. But for the rest of us who actually have to have a job and make a living, it's not true.
A couple of things. Sorry, Alan, your crackling mic, whatever your phone is too close to your mic, it's crackling.
Okay.
A quick aside here, some notes about the story. You see the lead character's home life. You get to meet her family. Her name is Joan Huang, played by Shirley Chen, and you meet her family. Her father and mother are delightful. They're Chinese. They came to this country. They both work really hard. Their life at home is very cultural in terms of food. They speak Chinese at home, and Joan is constantly saying, speak English, Mom, speak English. She wants to be an American, a plucky American girl. And the actress, Shirley Chen, who plays Joan, is really good. And what they do when she goes through this process, they don't put makeup on her. They switch actresses.
She's really good only through half the movie.
She's good. And then she disappears, and a different actress played by McKenna Grace plays the white version of Joan, and she's not as likable. So, and you just feel bad. Like, you could be proud of your heritage. Look, I'm proud. When I grew up, my family was Polish and Russian, and they made pierogies, and I heard Polish jokes all the time because I grew up in Michigan, in Detroit. there was a big Polish population that moved there to work in the auto industry. How many Polacks does it take to change a light bulb? I heard a million Polish jokes. I didn't care. I love gumpkies and pierogis, and my grandma made homemade food. They would speak. I knew that certain Polish words like dupa means butt. I thought it was fun and special. Make fun of me all you want. The food was great, and everyone had their own little heritage, whether it was Italian or Irish or whatever. And it makes me sad that for the character in this, that she feels so, I mean, she's a very beautiful actress, that is maybe the only Asian girl, but there are other colored people. She has an Indian friend named Brenda, and it doesn't ring. Comedy comes from truth. It doesn't ring true. Now, if you made this during the Jim Crow era, that's what this feels like. But there's something.
If you made this movie in the 80s, it would have worked.
Maybe the 80s, but even then, like I just and the director, I've seen interviews with the director Amy Wang, who has an Australian accent. This is based on her personal experiences growing up in Australia as a teen, and her portrayal of America somewhere in the Midwest, could be Texas, who knows, but it's somewhere where whites dominate. And there's a whole reveal of other characters who've gone through this process and they become white and their lives are better and the cops don't bother them. Honestly, the movie's premise is dishonest. It's if they made it a period piece, maybe, but the experiences of most people I know, I was teased as a kid, but for different reasons. We all go through crappy things through being a kid or through high school or whatever. Me, I was kind of small. I was smaller in frame until I got to my sophomore year in high school. Boom, growth spurt, things changed. I was Polish and proud. We had t-shirts. No one cares. I feel like this seeking victimhood we've run out of the supply. And this is pushed by one side of the political aisle, and it makes me sad. Makes me sad for the director who went through this experience, the character, and the original actress. When she goes away, the movie changes tone. It's missing a spark, and it doesn't ring true. And I saw this with an audience. Nobody laughed. There were only a couple laughs, and they described this movie as a comedy. I can't recommend it. And it makes me sad that I mean, it's you could compare this to The Substance. The Substance is much better. Yeah. It's more about a universal beauty standards for women of a certain age. That is universal. Okay. There's more universal.
Yeah.
Than this.
Watching this movie, I kept thinking to myself, this is not my experience. And the other thing was, I felt a deep sadness if this is the experience of Asian teens today, because their parents are not raising them right. If you have to believe that you have to be white in order to make it in America, you've gone off track somewhere. Someone has taught you wrong. Yeah. And by the way, Chris, are you proud of the Polish teen who was pregnant but wasn't sure if the baby was hers?
Yeah, exactly. That's 100%. I was.
Yeah, so I'm watching this going, this is, I see myself on the screen, but these experiences she's going through is like, I've never gone through any of this, and woe to me if I ever did. It's like, I just not look. I'm not black, I'm not white, and that gives me a different perspective on America than white and black people. And there's just this craziness between what's happening between the whites and the blacks versus this idea that I now need to insert myself into this conflict. That is, I just can't do that. And I hope to raise my child to never do that as well.
Yeah. So I made me sad for not just the character, but also the director who felt this experience was so impactful that she should make it's very anti-American and very anti-white American. I'm sure people exist who are actually like that.
Yeah.
But it makes me sad that she felt that this would resonate. I don't think it will.